understands, this is not an annual town meeting. They're not allowed this year. In lieu of a town meeting, which is a town meeting, this is a special Board of Finance meeting. The purpose of which is to set the budget and to set the mill rate. Of course, we start off with the gray sheet that everybody got in the mail. That's where we ended last time we met at the preliminary budget hearing. From there, I'm assuming you all got this list of revenue changes and expenditure changes. Has everybody got that?
Yes.
Okay. And so once Tony gets through with his remarks, I'll have a few remarks, and then we're going to go through this line by line and then go back and discuss. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Tony, and he can give you some remarks.
Thank you, Matt. So when we at the preliminary budget hearing, we had a little over a 2% expenditure increase and a tax increase of 0.97%, which is a little under 1%, and a mill rate increase of 4.82%. So what we did was try to identify which items would be either impacted by the pandemic and or programs or expenditures that most likely we would not be able to do as a result of the pandemic. That's a majority of the changes. And so we've tried to identify those with great cooperation from the department heads. All the department heads in the commissions were very cooperative, provided a lot of great feedback. And this is just a guess on all our parts, as we don't really know exactly what the future will bring. So we sort of have to work together to work through this should circumstances change. And so that's sort of the background of how we sort of went through each department and accomplished this list. The result of the list is a 0.42% reduction in expenditures from last year, a 1.02% reduction in taxes. So just to give you an idea, we were at a 0.97% increase when we were at the preliminary budget. Now we're at a 1.02% decrease. So that's pretty much a 2% reduction.
Wow.
In taxes that would be collected in order to balance the budget. What that also does is brings the mill rate in at a 3.23% increase in the mill rate.
Say that again.
3.23% increase in the mill rate is because of the revaluation and the fact that the grand list goes down over 4%.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So those are sort of the highlight of the information that we're presenting this evening.
Okay, I just want to have Tony run by. We're obviously very concerned about property tax collections because it's obviously the way we pay our bills. And currently, at this point, Tony has some figures as to where we would be at this time of the year collection-wise and where we are, and he's going to give those to us now.
So normally at the end of April, we sort of take a gauge of where we're going to be at the end of the year. And usually we have about $200,000 in uncollected taxes. And at the end of April, we were at close to 400,000. And that's dropped to about 350,000. Question is, will we collect $150,000 in taxes in the next 6 weeks? And if you haven't gotten my report yet, but that's what I'm estimating at the moment that the shortfall would be in the tax account. Hopefully, we will make some progress on that, but that's where we are at the moment. And now a lot of these were, as another note, a lot of these collections were taxes that were due before the pandemic started. So I'm not really sure what impact that had on or did not have on this particular issue. But it's something we're keeping a close eye on, and we'll report back Just, every time we have the opportunity.
Tony, can I ask a question about that? You
Sure.
said over the next 6 weeks, but are those the taxes that generally don't come in until July and up to the end of July?
No, these are taxes that were due or that are outstanding there are some that are, but they're all were due in January,
Oh, they're
Or
all,
before, or
or
before.
before.
I see, okay.
It's just a little higher than, that's all.
Uh-huh.
It could, so that's why we're just keeping an eye on that.
I think it's an indication though of, we usually are, the collection of our taxes, it's pristine. We usually are 99.5% collected by the time we start the new year, and I don't think we're gonna hit that this year. And of course, we now have the situation, go ahead.
Our tax collector is working diligently,
Right.
however,
Right.
to collect as best we can, and he's doing a great job there.
And of course, now we have the situation where the Board of Selectmen, as have many boards of selectmen, approved the plan where there's a 3-month time frame to pay your taxes. So I believe they would be due October 1st,
Right.
instead of July 1st.
Right, the grace period.
Right.
So they're all technically due July 1st. Usually have a 30-day grace period, so you don't have to pay it till August 1st.
Right.
Now you have a 90-day grace period. You don't have to pay it till October 1st. It's for eligible taxpayers.
Now, again, I believe, if my memory serves me, about half of our tax collections come from escrow, from mortgage escrow, from banks. The rest, of course, is paid by people directly, like me. I pay my taxes directly, and I will be paying them in July, as I always do. And well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it won't be a big impact, and we're going to give people some breathing room. And I just hope they are prepared. They've got to come in on October 1st, and if they don't, I believe they're going to get hit with 4 months late interest.
That's correct. The interest goes back to July.
Right, so it'd be a 6% charge if you come in after October 1st.
Yeah, right.
So people have to be made aware of that, so.
And the applications are for eligible taxpayers only, have to be impacted by pandemic financially, and they're due July 1st. So we will have a very good idea of the impact on our cash flow at that time.
So at this point, I'd just like to say, Tony and I have been meeting a lot, talking even more to come up with these things. And again, as Tony said, I mean, where he did as good a job as he could, trying to figure out for example, what salaries we won't be paying, what with programs removed, what the savings are going to be to the town. He's worked tirelessly. And I would just like to say at this point, I don't think there's a contest in the state of Connecticut for the finance director. But if there is, I'm going to lobby Beth to enter Tony, and I think he might win. Working with this guy he's amazing. He's amazing.
We
And
are lucky, no question about it.
he's always there with the right answers, and he's always on tune. So it's been a pleasure. Again, Tony and I both said we learned how difficult it would be to make a cut like this. 2% cut if we didn't have all these things that we're just not going to be paying for without severely impacting programs. I mean, for example, the sports camps and the concert series and all things that are really, it hurts to see them not happening. But again, it's not anything we're doing. It's just that they can't take place. So it's been an interesting march through the budget, and showed us just how difficult it would be to make a significant cut to the budget. So again, I am going to go through this list that you received that says budget suggestions. Before I do, though, someone asked me I should review the preliminary budget hearing and what came out of the preliminary budget hearing. Of course, we were all there, and needless to say, the vast majority of discussion was about the Beecher budget and the fact that we cut 115,000 roughly from the Beecher budget, and how so many people thought that was not in the best interest of Beecher, and that and again, as I explained then, we're not cutting any line item. We're not cutting a library. We're just asking them to chip in, as everyone here, as you see, has chipped in, and give us a hand on getting this relief to taxpayers. So again, we didn't aim at anything. That was suggestions that came out of the administration. But I would just like to point out a few things relative to the budgets. First of all, we know what we cut out of the Beecher budget. Amity, which again I'm vice chairman of and I'm very active in, if you remember, started with a 3.95% increase, which for Woodridge was $1,019,439. After many meetings and many discussions, and quite frankly, if Orange had their way, it wouldn't have even been 2.49, which we had agreed upon. They settled at 2.49, which for Woodridge meant an increase of $790,513, or a reduction in their original request, Amity's original request, a reduction of $228,926. Now, if you talk to Amity, they're going to tell you that's a very painful $228,926 because they lost a lot of programs that they really wanted, such as Mandarin Chinese and a whole laundry list of things. But they did it, and so they sacrificed Woodbridge's share, $228,926, which is quite a bit more than the $115,000 that we cut out of the Beecher budget. I'd also like to point out, because I don't know that people are necessarily aware of this, in the current year that we're in right now, 1920, Beecher was granted a 3.61% increase, far more than any other department, or $481,469 we gave Beecher for current fiscal year. In addition to that, if you remember, we paid off their deficit from special ed, which I believe was 280,000. So we basically gave Beecher more than $750,000 at this time last year. We paid off their deficit for the year they were in, and we gave them an additional $481,469. So again, every cut is something to be concerned about, but Beecher has done fine. Year after year, if you check back, you'll see that they've always gotten the largest percentage increase of any budget. And for those of you who are not aware of this, this year, the year that we're proposing, 2021, Beecher, if you take their budget that we gave them plus their debt service, remember, Amity's debt service is in their budget. Take Beecher's budget, which is $15,201,954, and you add to that the debt service, which is over $800,000. They're at $16,004,627. Amity is $15,793,906. So Beecher gets $220,000 more than Amity, and let's not get into it, but let's look at what Amity offers to students. So, but Beecher's getting more. Beecher's getting more money than Amity gets, and let's also not forget that over the past 3 years, Amity has returned to the town of Woodbridge $2,129,588, and it was because of that we were able to pay off their deficit last year. So I think Amity has done a fine job, and quite frankly, this year, getting down to the 2.49, while very painful, really helped us out. So with that, just a couple of things I'd like to bring up. I mean, people think Woodbridge is everybody's a millionaire and there was an article in the New Haven Register, which unfortunately I still get the Register, nobody else does, but it was in last week's Register, and the headline was "Weight of Jobless Claims Swings to the Gold Coast," and it's an article about Greenwich, Westport, Easton, and Reading. They ranked among the top 10 Connecticut towns where initial claims for unemployment were filed. Think about it. Greenwich, Westport, Easton, and Reading. They also mentioned, and that's the reason I'm bringing this to your attention, they also mentioned Woodbridge in this article, and Woodbridge is in the top 25 of municipalities with jobless claims weighted toward the most recent 3-week stretch. So while everybody thinks that maybe, Woodbridge isn't affected by unemployment or whatever, they're in the top 25, and what is there, 169 cities and towns. So we're in the top 25 for unemployment. So there is a lot of pain being felt in Woodbridge, and that's the reason we have to really take a long look at the budget and hopefully give them some relief. So with that, if you would go to the sheet that Tony has so beautifully prepared, budget suggestions, I'm going to just run through them, and then we'll go back and discuss them. Many of them are just automatic type things, but let's start with revenue adjustments. Tony had to decrease interest income by $150,000 because obviously from the time he presented his budget to now, interest rates have dropped down to near zero. So that's something we just have to do. We're what would be way over on interest income. All the rest of these things, the biggest one being recreation fees. Of course, those are fees that recreation would have collected for summer camp, fall sports, pool, fitness, etc. And they've been canceled. How long they've been canceled, we'll see. But Tony estimated those. And then, of course, pool rental, field rental, and library fees. Again, those were all estimated.
These were estimated based on discussions with the
Right.
recreation director and the recreation. So we just collectively came up with assumptions for the budget. But, you know, like you said, we have to see, you know, how this plays out, but those are the assumptions built into this budget.
So then, under expenditures, and again, I'm going to go through these and then we can go back, anybody who has a question. The most painful one to me is the roads. We decided to cut another 150,000 from roads, again, just to help out, and that brings it down to 500,000, I believe. Now, what I said to Tony, and I'll say here, thankfully, the town has done an excellent job of building up its fund balance. And chances are, if things develop by June 30th, we might even have a better fund balance. If Warren Connors were to come to the town and need money for a particular road or whatever that he couldn't cover with 500,000, I would certainly hope that the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance would look to a fund balance transfer to get the roads. We're not going to let the roads get into disrepair. We've been excellent with this. And so we're doing this only to see where we're at, and hopefully Warren can get by with this. But if not, I think everybody would agree that we should fund the roads that he needs to get done. Next is a speed trailer for the Capitol. That's a police thing. We've just eliminated that. The next four, I believe, four, which are police vehicles, 48,490, equipment reserve, 60,000, truck replacement, 70,000, and Board of Education technology. We're eliminating from the 21 budget and paying it with the contingency funds that were left over due to a snowless winter.
And then the other item, which you'll hear at your meeting on Thursday, is that in a number of departments, there were vacant positions that we did not fill. A mechanic, public works, 2 police officers, the building official, now part-time, a number of positions, which has resulted in the fact that we did not need contingency for some of the cost of living adjustments that were from the most recent contract negotiation.
So again, thank God for no snow, because we were able to fund some very important things with the leftover funds in our contingency. Next is from the town clerk's office, and again, this was agreed to by the town clerk's office. $2,000 in part-time wages eliminated. The tax collector, the next item, is not attending a conference. This is, I think, what Tony's referring to tonight. Everybody tried to chip in, even though it's $600, it adds up. Every one of the departments did what they could to try and help out, and you know, when it all adds up to $1,228,000, that's a good thing. Under TPZ, $2,640. A recording clerk not used by TPZ, and again, this is with blessings of planning and zoning.
Right, so in each department, they're going to, even though they could use a recording clerk, they're going to have staff take care of that responsibility.
And the 850 is the same thing from Zoning Board of Appeal. We eliminated $12,000 in items from the fire capital. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we should be, the fire department has been paying for COVID pandemic supplies, as it has as police and a number of others, and we have a process to go apply for up to hopefully 75% reimbursement for those supplies. We're in the process of doing, and the hope is that once those funds are restored, that perhaps we can restore some of the capital equipment that's eliminated from the fire department.
Next is Public Works, contracted services, and this was an elimination of the FY21 budget and use FY20 department surplus funds for line painting. So again, a good use of leftover money. Again, in Public Works, we eliminated $15,000 from sand, salt materials. Obviously, they didn't use that much, and then if there's a need, there's surplus funds for that. Senior Center Director, 27,610. That's funding for a vacant position eliminated through the end of the year.
Right.
They know about that?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, where will that take us and, right?
Part-time kitchen staff, again, in the human services, again, reduced to cancel programs. Youth services, part-time wages, cancel programs. Part-time wages, rec, well, they've taken a serious hit. Obviously, nobody wants to see summer camp not taking place. It's a staple of Woodbridge. And of course, years ago, when John Adamovich was in good shape, every morning you'd see him out there doing something, either pizza man or a cow. He was always out there dressed up, and that's not there. Fall sports have also probably been eliminated. The pool is closed, and the fitness center is closed. And again, we're saying it through 12/31, but if it turns out that they can reopen it, we'll have to adjust. And again, hopefully we'll have some fund balance. Recreation, reduced bank fees. Those got to be people who charge credit cards.
Correct, because we're not collecting the
Right.
rec fees.
So we're not going to have to pay credit cards.
Right.
Another sad elimination is the summer concert series, which is just a wonderful, wonderful community gathering event, and people really enjoy it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, as well as fall bus trip, 8,000. Pool and gym, with the pool closed, 13,126 in part-time. And again, think about the work that had to go into this to come up with these numbers and calculate them out. I said, Tony and all the departments did a phenomenal job. Pool and gym maintenance, 2,500. This is for pool programs canceled. Parks, obviously the fields, the Little League season has been canceled, and all baseball's been canceled, and so there's no need to have Adam run out and
So they'll be mowed. But
right.
they're not going to be, manicured and painting the lines and all that.
Fields will be maintained, but we don't have to get them ready to play baseball.
Right.
Library, again, great job by the library. $160,000 from part-time wages because the library is closed. Library conferences, 1,700. They decided not to attend a conference. Probably wouldn't be able to anyway.
Right.
Library office supplies, again, reduced supplies due to phased-in opening. Books, they decided to take 15,000 off. Again, the library was phenomenal too, as were all departments. So to assist the taxpayers, they decided not to buy $15,000 worth of books. Let's see. Inland wetlands, $2,000 part-time wages, recording clerk not being used. And then with all that, we're saving $32,669 in FICA, which of course is Social Security, based on reduced payroll. And the other part of the total Social Security tax is Medicare, 7611, and that also will not be needed. OPEB, we've made a decision. I mean, I got to believe there's going to be a lot of communities aren't going to contribute a dime. So we decided to reduce that by 170. This would be the year to do it. We've been excellent in contributing to OPEB.
We are ahead of most towns.
Right. Other post-employment benefits, for those of you who don't know what OPEB is. So we're in great shape. We've been told that by our people who handle our investments and our actuaries. So we're in great shape with that. This would be a good year to cut it back.
And both the town and now the Board of Education have eliminated mainly healthcare for new hires. So the liability is not going to grow nearly as fast because we're adding new people onto it.
Right. Healthcare town, based on personnel changes, we're saving 25,000. Same thing with retirement, 10,000. And Amity, the number that we had was off a little, so we had to add back after they passed the 2.49% budget. We had to add back 11,899. So the total expenditure reductions are $1,228,688. Combine that with a revenue reduction of $295,164 leads to a 1.02% reduction in the amount of money we have to raise through taxes. And that is where we are at. So with that, fire away if you have any questions on any of this stuff.
I have no questions, Matt. You actually touched on all of the items that I had noted, and I just thought, while I'm speaking, just to say thank you to you, Matt, for the time you put in. Of course, Tony, you did a fabulous job as always. And I wonder if we could, as a board, send, a thank you recognition to the department heads who cooperated and made this happen. And Tony, don't listen, but we should also send something to Tony.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more.
So we won't ask Tony to draft the one to himself,
Right.
but if we, maybe we could just
We'll figure something out. Yeah, we'll figure something
work
out.
with Beth on that.
Why don't we, instead of just, let's hear what everybody has to say. Next, I see the beautiful face of Susan Jacobs. How about you, Susan?
Well, aren't you sweet? Well, Ellen took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I don't have any particular questions. I think the amount of work that you've done and the spirit of community. Now I'm going to cry. I do.
I thought you were a stand-up comedian. Now, come on.
Hey, you laugh and cry. It's all the time. I'm very impressed with the spirit of community. I also want to commend, and I was thinking about this the other day, Town Hall and Beth for ensuring that we all know what's going on in this town. I think that the updates that have been sent out have been incredibly helpful. And I also think that encouraging people to try and use Woodbridge businesses so that they can stay in business has also been incredible, because now we know who to order from, how to get it, what to do. It's quite an effort. I think one of you just said something about we don't know what's going to happen. Correct. We don't know what's going to happen. But I think we should remain hopeful. And I'm just very impressed with how Town Hall and how Tony and his staff and everybody else has handled this. It's just been incredible.
Susan, if I might add, Matt, just quickly, Betsy Yagla has been phenomenal in getting all this stuff out with me. We're a team. Jerry Shaw is working with me every day. Tony, I think I speak to all of them more than I speak to my husband. We live in the same house. So it's been a real, it's definitely a team effort. I can't thank you for the kudos, but I can't thank team more. It's incredible.
As long as we're picking, I'd also like to mention Karen Crosby, of course.
Yeah.
Karen, Tony's right-hand man, right-hand woman. And she's always there when I call her and we need something. I give it to her and she gives it to Tony. So Karen has been a vital part of this too. So thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our department heads, incredible. Like we talk to the department heads once a week now. We do department head meetings. Usually it was once a month, and they have been so cooperative, and everyone answers the phone and at the town hall when you need help. And we have just a super, I'm going to cry. We have a super duper town. I mean, it's amazing how wonderful everybody has been. Everybody has stepped up and not one complaint. Really, do you agree, Tony?
Yes, not one complaint.
Custodians all the way up. I mean, it's phenomenal. The first responders, everybody has been incredible.
Correct.
It's kind of an award for everybody. We got to get one because they're just, it's amazing.
And the town looks amazing. Everything is trimmed, everything is cleaned, and everybody's doing their jobs, and despite the terrible hardships. So
Right.
it is a great town, and that's what I've always said. So
No.
I feel like I'm on, what is that game that they used to have? Hollywood Squares over here. Let's see. Next, Mr. Thomas Kennebec, so we can distinguish you.
You're on mute, Tom.
Can't hear you.
You're on
Not
mute.
mute.
Unmute you.
Bottom left of the screen.
There you go.
Still can't hear him. Tom, are you there? No? Okay.
I don't see Tom Kennebec recognized on my screen.
Well,
He's
he's
there.
See him?
He's there.
He's there.
He has headphones on his ears.
No, but I mean, he's not, his name isn't here and his picture isn't here.
but he's on the list of participants.
He's on my screen. I have him.
Hi, Tom.
Tom, if you're okay, give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Tom Handler.
Is that me? I want to reiterate, I think things are going incredibly well. I'm amazed at the work that was done with all of this. I hope that some of the programs will be able to be added back over the next couple months. I'm less than optimistic on that, but I think this is amazing. And kudos to everybody. You drive through town and it just sort of, other than the fact that there are a lot of kids and people walking at various hours that aren't usually there, it just looks like the town is normal. So amazing. Let's hope we get back to normal soon.
Oh boy, I hope so. Okay, thank you. And final, last but certainly not least, Mr. Paul Kuriakose, or Kuriakose, which is it? We can't hear him either. What's going on?
Oh, you're muted.
Paul, you're on mute.
No.
Back
There you
now.
go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
You hear me now, right? Okay. Well, first, let me say thank you to Matt, Tony, the department heads, Beth, everybody that worked on this. I mean, you really can't argue with the results, and the results are really incredible, I have to say. And you guys took the tack that no savings is too small. I'm really grateful that everybody came together and just worked as a team to produce this. Thank you. A 1% reduction is, Matt, when you said 1% reduction, I was really skeptical. I thought you'd have to bust a gut to do that, but you made it look easy. This is good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The departments made it easy, really. They didn't say you can't do that, we're not gonna let you do that. They came forth with their own ideas of what we could do to budget. So that's amazing. Because in reading the register and the papers, I mean, there's a lot of towns that are really struggling with. I mean, they're not going to be able to balance their budgets, and it's going to be it's going to be really painful with boards of education and everything else. So the cooperation has been phenomenal, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I expected it. I really did. I think that the departments in this town are all top notch, and the people are top notch, and I really did expect them to step forward, and they actually stepped forward more than I would have anticipated. So with that, I guess so. Go ahead.
Matt, I might add, we are so blessed to have such a wonderful fund balance. So the town's
Yes.
chairman of SCROG this year, and there are a lot, the COG, in this area, and there are a lot of towns, and the first selectmen and mayors in that group are scared to death because they don't have a great fund balance, and so they don't know where they're going to get the money from. And not that we have to use it, but we know it's there, and it's good to know.
Yep.
Just in case. So thank you to Tony for keeping an eye on that, and you, Matt, and everyone.
Also, we were all diligent, and when people were telling us to pull $3 million out to lower taxes, that's never the right thing to do. You can never replicate it in the following year, and you end up with a tax increase.
This is the type of things that you
Right.
why you have a fund balance.
Right.
Would we have guessed a pandemic? Not in a million years, but here we are.
No.
The two things I like to say is I never guessed we would have a country club, and I never guessed we'd have a pandemic.
It's a good line, Tony. It's a good line.
Okay, with that, I am going to make a motion. If nobody has anything else to say, I'm going to make a motion that we recommend a budget, adopt a budget for the town of Woodbridge, which will have total expenditures of $50,083,907. We're going to have non-tax revenues of $3,609,635. The amount to be raised by taxes will be $46,474,272, which will result in a mill rate of 41.53 mils.
I second that. Do we want that all in one motion?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, I'll do it this way. I'll say Matt Giglietti, yes. Tom Kennebec? Yes.
Yes.
We heard you.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah,
you're
there you
back.
go.
You're back.
Hey, I figured it out. Yeah.
Tom Handler,
Yes.
Paul Kuriakose, Ellen Scalatar,
Yes.
and Susan Jacobs.
Yes.
Well, thank you, everyone. And if you're available, hopefully, we have a meeting Thursday night at 6 o'clock.
o'clock,
regular
yeah.
board. That will be more, there'll be public comments. That'll be more.
Regular agenda.
A regular agenda type thing.
Yep.
So have a good night and a good couple of days, and we'll see you Thursday.
Good
Everybody
night,
stay
everybody.
safe. Stay
Motion
safe.
to adjourn?
Be safe, everybody.
Safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.